It's amazing to me that an event of this magnitude can basically be wiped from most references and not on people's radar. Because if we're going to be completely frank, I mean, this was on the scale of a Woodstock, the Harlem Cultural Festival. And we talk about Woodstock with such reverence, yet we're not talking about this. And it was equally as good, if not better. And that just blows my mind.
You know, it's weird. You know, I tried to figure out for the life of me, I was like, well, maybe the footage was bad, or maybe the audio was bad, or maybe some incidents happened, or like, I can't, because even on paper, it's like, would you really deny Sly Stone and Stevie Wonder? Like, what movie executive would be like, I'll pass? It's just so weird to me. But I'll say that, you know, oftentimes I think that with creations from Black people, it's sort of like, it's a thing where it's almost taken for granted. Like, of course Steph Curry's going to put that 3-point in from half court, or, you know, it's almost like, no big deal. Like it's I don't see what the big deal is, which unfortunately is a dismissive thing. And, you know, oftentimes, even with hip hop culture, I'll talk to certain producers now that are sort of like wrestling with their feelings with trap music now and that sort of thing. And, you know, I often ask them like, okay, well, you know, how much are you doing to teach the next generation about what it is that you're about? Like, you just can't assume that because this song went top 10 in 1992, that 35 years later, that it's just going to be the DNA of everyone, which I know this is sort of cats and dogs, like a totally different scenario, but it's just that history is important. And be it the Harlem Cultural Festival, be it a TikTok dancer not getting properly credited for their work. Yeah, we should take people a little more seriously when they're speaking on levels of what they've created and contributed, you know, contributed. Yes.
Well, I gotta say, just the story behind you finding the footage, the fact that it was in a basement and that you watched it on a loop and you picked this, in my opinion, the seminal oblique moment from the festival, just in the first 10 minutes, seeing that drum solo from Stevie Wonder, because you don't expect it, especially if you don't know about Stevie, okay? And you're just like, oh shit, is he gonna play the drums? Oh shit, is he really gonna play the drums? Damn, he's playing the drums. Oh my God, he's playing the drums. And then
playing it good.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, obviously, is that how you felt when you first saw it on the footage, or were you looking for it? I mean, how did you?
Nah, literally. All right, so here's the deal. The deal was that I was, you know, we had about a good 5 to 6 months to let the actual 2-inch reels get baked and processed. And, you know, even to find that, there was like maybe 6 or 7 people left in the country that had the equipment and the wherewithal to know how to treat that, you know, each frame and clean it. So in that time off, I took the sort of the rough, not the Avid, but the MPEGs that we transferred, and I kept it on 24-hour loop. And even then I was trying to figure out like, what's my creative approach? So I kind of took my own advice. Like I was hitting a wall, and then my girlfriend was like, well, you wrote a book about this, like look in Creative Quest and go back to your DJ thing where you talked about like crafting on like a DJ set. And, you know, that's exactly what I did. And when I curate anything, I go backwards. So I'm always looking for my ending first. I want to figure out, how do I want the people to leave the theater feeling when they see this? And so once I found that moment, and again, I would keep this on loop, even if I was asleep, it was always on. Woke up and took notes or whatever. I'll say that once I had about 30 to 40 like kind of goosebump, heart-stopping moments, then the team, Joseph Patel and I, like kind of crafted this puzzle together on how to tell the story. I knew instantly that Stevie Wonder thing was important because number one, I knew there was maybe some expectations of like, well, are you going to insert yourself in this movie or are you not, and I didn't want to insert myself in the movie. So it was kind of like that internet meme, show me that you're in this movie without you being in this movie. And I figured the drum solo is definitely my calling card, and no one's expecting this from Stevie Wonder. And what a way to start a film. So I knew that was going to be my beginning the second I saw this. As far as the end is concerned, initially in the original 3 hour and 20-minute draft, the Mavis Staples, Mahalia Jackson moment was going to end the film. But it's weird that with that ending the film and Nina Simone in the middle, the ending of Precious Lord came, it was like a nice little, cute little Hollywood ending, like a nice little bow wrapped up, but in reverse. Then suddenly the film is more urgent. So I'll credit my producer, Joseph Patel, for having the insight and the courage to, to risk the Hollywood ending, to take the Hail Mary throw of making, I was like, wow, like, how are we going to top Mavis and Mahalia? And it's like, we got to come with a strong 45-minute ending. And so, and that's exactly what happened. I feel like the film is way better and way stronger in that way.
Are you sure you've never directed before? Because you speak like somebody who's done this like your whole life. I mean, I'm just listening to you explain your process, and I'm like, damn, he's had to have done this before.
I don't even count. I directed one Common video. I don't count Come Close, the Common video at all. If no one was more of a fraidy cat than I was at the very beginning, because with everything else, I've ran in with reckless abandonment. Like, oh, write a book? Write 3 books? Yeah, I could do that. Like, teach class? I could do that. I could be a professor at NYU. I can, all these things that I'd done, I kind of just ran off the cliff, Geronimo, without even a thought. This is the first time in which I got right to the edge, and I was like, wait, let's talk about this. Are you sure I'm your person? And it's only because, like, this was such a heavy responsibility. Like, I still don't see this as a movie. I see this like this will be taught in colleges, and this will correct history, which you really don't get that chance to correct history. I mean, even I could be the person that makes history, but to correct it, like to be the person like, you made a mistake there. See, this is what you mean. Oh, you're right. Like, no one ever gets that opportunity. And I think I was so in my head about dropping the ball that I kind of missed that, yeah, you are a storyteller. Like, after these gargantuan Instagram posts on history and your podcast and all these other things, like, why not this? So yeah, in the beginning, I was shaking in my boots, man. So I had a really wonderful team to help me put this all together.
But I think what really takes us to the next level, I mean, because music is one thing, obviously, and the music is fantastic. Editing is another thing, but you managed to get the personal accounts from the people that were there. And it wasn't just, hey man, that was awesome when he played the drums, or hey, that was great. No, it was a reflection of the time period, and it like resonated throughout the film. It gave the film like life, the tone, and it just it sits with you because how it was a sign of the times to have something so great just kind of get swept under the rug, for you to take that brush and be like, no, bitch, we're gonna take this out, and we're gonna show everybody that the excellence that was this event. I mean, that was the key.
I think what's important I think what's really important is in telling the story, there has to be a humanizing heart element. And I was hyper aware of that often doesn't happen with Black stories. Like, you know, a lot of times we run the risk of being seen as caricatures because either, you know, there's not full development of the character, or you don't have empathy for the person, like you feel like you don't get to know them. And then another part of it is that I watch TV in a very weird, unorthodox way. Having lived a third of my life in a tour bus with the Roots, being the guy that's responsible for buying a gazillion DVDs and to keep us entertained on the bus and not bored, you know, because we're doing like real treks, like 19 hours from, you know, Cincinnati to, you know, Albuquerque or something. So I'm the guy that has to have like all the entertainment ready. And the way that I'll say like around 97, 98, especially when like Criterion Collection was coming out and all those things. And I just always loved the director's commentary and the subtitles instead of actually watching the film. I want to know how the film was made. Like The Rules of Attraction, that's my all-time. I recommend. I know the film didn't do big numbers when it came out, but just the way that they crafted the director's commentary, they had like 4 different versions of it. Like I became obsessed with how things got made. And so, and I guess it's not like I set out to, well, I need a trademark or something. I didn't even know that was so unusual. I just thought like, well, it's a documentary. I should provide context, right? But the greatest compliment someone paid to me, knowing how much of a fan I was of the work of Public Enemy, and especially with like the Bomb Squad and the way that they amalgamate all these samples in it. They were like, this is like watching your version of It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Like you crammed so many samples in, but it made sense and I understood it. And that's the greatest compliment because everything I do, I try to reach for the excellence of like people I grew up on and that sort of thing.